Hello and welcome to Reginaldesq. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the Tier 8 Japanese heavy tank, the Oh-Ho. So, is it any good? Absolutely not. It is trash, pathetic. I've only played 2 games in this tank and I'm not going to play another game. That's it. I refuse to play another game in this tank. And I don't have enough free XP because it's 177,000 to get to the Type 4, which I would like to drive the Type 4. I have already used free XP to get the tracks and to get the gun, so I could see how much XP I needed to free XP this tank. And I've only got 91,000 free XP left, so 170,000 is a bridge too far. So I think this is the tank that has ended my journey along the Japanese heavy tank line. Why? Well, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Have a look at the front here and look how close the gun is, and basically from here to here, so the entire front of the tank, you have 1 degree of gun depression. So 1 degree of gun depression on a tank that is this high is ridiculous. If you were an actual tank commander who had this tank, if you had access to a workshop, you would immediately go in and tell them to rip both of these turrets off and just bolt a flat metal plate on top. But hey, you don't have that option in World of Tanks. I did actually consider driving this tank backwards to avoid that. It would be better to have the less armor, but guess what, folks? There's one at the back! Yes! Yeah, so basically 1 degree of gun depression, which means basically if you're facing anybody, unless they're another Japanese super heavy, you probably won't be able to hit them. The only option, this side is really dangerous because this extends out so far. You pretty much have to always try and make sure that you're coming out of cover from this side, so that you're basically the cover's on your right hand side, so that you can pop out on a little bit of an angle and at least use some of your armor. Because if you come out this way, you basically have to come out completely sideways to get a shot on people, and the side of this tank is the easy part to penetrate. But even so, basically you cannot shoot someone and use your armor at the same time. What else? And a lot of time you can't even shoot anybody anyway because of it. And tanks just drive up close to you. Not only do they drive up to the side to shoot your side, but they just drive straight up to the front of your tank, and you can't shoot them. You can't return fire. It's horrible. Guns, well, basically the same as on the Oh-Ho. I think this gun here, which I haven't even bothered to purchase, 215 pen, 330 damage. That's the same damage as on the Oni. I think the penetration is a bit more though, or is it the same? I'm not sure. Anyway, it's pointless because using an AP gun where 215 pen you will have to aim at weak spots, you will not be able to aim at weak spots because of the gun depression. So you really just have to shoot at whatever you can hit. And so any AP gun is totally useless on tank in my opinion. That leaves this gun, which as far as I can tell is exactly the same as the gun we had on the Oni, the howitzer gun. 75 pen, 910 damage, 0.54 dispersion, 3.3 aiming time. I think all those stats are exactly the same. The 3.53 rate of fire might be slightly faster. I don't know, it was 3 point something on the Oni, but I can't remember exactly what it was, so it could be, maybe it's slightly better, I don't know, but yeah, and it works kinda, but now you're facing tier 10 tanks as well, with much better armor, so there are going to be tanks that you hit with the howitzer where you do no damage. You might still do some critical, but you won't do any actual damage. Track traverse is 19, which I think is 1 degree quicker than it was on the Oni. Other than that, it has sort of better armor or different armor, which you'd want because it's a tier higher. I'll show you a couple of games just to show how bad it is, but I've got vents on it, gun rammer, and I don't know what else. I probably had a toolkit on or something during a couple of games that I played. The crew is only says 96. It's got vents, so he's 91% trained. I trained this crew for nothing to this tank, so now I've got I don't know what I'm going to do with them anyway. Yeah, there's no point really talking about it because it's just absolute rubbish. So I don't know if I mentioned the tank actually has 10 degrees of gun depression when it's not pointing out the front. So if you're pointing the gun out the sides, you can get 10 degrees of gun depression, but anywhere around the front, it's 1 degree. So, yeah, just to give you an idea, yeah, there it is. Actually, it says 3 degrees there, folks. It said 1 degree when I did it the other day. Must depend exactly where you're pointing it. Oh, no, okay. With the AP gun, you have 3 degrees, it appears. But with the howitzer, and it's because of that bit at the bottom of the howitzer. Yeah, it's because of that bit at the bottom of the howitzer, that bit there. Yeah, it's 1 degree. Yeah. Okay, so, well, there you go. You have 3 degrees with the AP gun, so I don't know. Anyway, it is 200 mils at the front. Basically, all this front bit's 200 mils. Front of the turret is also 200 mils. So it's similar to the Oni, and considering you're a tier high facing tier 10s, you're probably actually going to get penetrated a little bit more. This part here is only 105 mils, but it is sloped, but that's probably going to get pinned a little bit. These turrets are 200 all the way around, which is kind of good. The turret is now 200 all the way around, whereas it used to be 150 on the sides and the back. So the turret's pretty strong, and that is the strongest part. So I guess if you have to park your tanks, park your tank. How about park your tank? If you can park behind some big cover, rocks and stuff, you'll see me trying to do it in one of the games, but I actually end up shooting a piece of timber that's sticking up. But if you can do that and just expose your turret, it might be alright. On the side of the tank here, we've got spaced armour of 35mm overlaying 70mm of armour underneath in the bottom section, and in the upper section as well. This yellowy looking section here is 105mm, so the side of the tank is quite easy to penetrate, except for the turret, which is still 200. So if you've got side shots, don't worry about turret, just try and go for the superstructure and you'll penetrate pretty easily. The rear of the tank is 150, same as it was I think on the Oni, so is this section here. Top deck is 60mm, which is very good, and so artillery probably won't bother you very much. Look, there's not really any point in telling you how to use the armour, because if you're trying to use the armour, you can't shoot back. Really, you just have to pop out, cop a hit, and shoot back. Or hopefully they fire their gun before you pop out, and then you can get a free hit. Yeah, good luck with it. So we're on the Siegfried Line, and it's a defence game. It's my first game in the tank, and even though I've got the howitzer gun selected, it's loaded me with 54 rounds of AP ammo, and I've only got 3 howitzer HE rounds. So this isn't going to be a very good game straight away. But I go into a position where I've had a lot of success previously in defence in heavy tanks. If you've got good frontal armour, this is a really good spot just to sit here, wait for them to pop over the ridge and go bang. And so I figured, okay, that's what I'll do. Now, what I'm doing now, you just watch it. Watch how I'm bouncing up and down. That's as my gun moves up and up around the little turrets at the front. So even though you think, oh yeah, I've got my gun, but you move your gun a little bit, it goes up. Then it goes down. It goes up and down as it sort of goes along the contours of the top. Because it varies, as you can see, quite a bit. I'm trying to get maximum gun depression all the time here. And you can see that it's bouncing up and down all over the joint. And, of course, every time it does that, you lose your aim. So, anyway, we put a shot into that T-34, doing 342 damage. He hits us for 394. Where did he pin us? Smack there through the turret. So, that's our thickest armour. He probably aimed for that little turret, because a lot of people think the little turrets are weaker, because they are weaker on a lot of other tanks. So they aim for them on these super heavies. They're not actually. Well, they might be weaker because the armor's a bit flat. So he actually bounces off us because he hits the front of our tank on an angle. And we put one into him. So we've now done 697 damage to him, and we bounce a potential 400 damage. So you can see there, he fired, hit a lower plate there on an angle, and that's why it bounced. So this time he puts one into Australia. He's waiting for us to come back this time. I then fire at the VK, and we hit the VK in a pretty good spot and do good damage to him, but we did, I think, did we just cop another hit? I think we did. Actually, both of them penetrated, the VK and the other one. And the VK, or one of them's put the hit straight through the lower plate, and the other one has gone into the side there. So that would have been the T-34 into the side, and the VK hit us in the lower plate there. So yeah, 200 mils of armor, doesn't worry these big heavy tanks at this tier. I'm sitting here now because now I've run out of HE shells, I've only got AP, and as you know I refuse to use premium, so I'm sitting here going, well, I can't penetrate any of these guys, and they can all penetrate my frontal armor, and I haven't got gun depression anyway, but it's time to die. So I pop back, I got a shot there on the T-34, sorry I wasn't zoomed in, didn't pen of course, but we got a critical hit, which I think we tracked him, so, which is about all I can do now. So I'm just going to speed it up a little bit. 2 times, let's go 4 times when I start moving in. Okay, back to normal speed. They'll be waiting for me again probably. Yeah, and I'm coming out on the angle so I can use my gun depression. No, I'm going to do that. So VK finishes us off. That's it. This time we're on Stalingrad, and it's a tier 9 game. This is my second game in the tank, so I actually have the AP ammo loaded down. I've got 57 rounds of AP, sorry, of HE ammunition, and I've got 3 rounds of AP just in case I have to shoot through a building in a light tank or something. This is my second and last game in the tank. I have, I think, vents and a gun ram, and I think I've just got a toolkit fitted. I wouldn't normally carry the toolkit, but once I realised how bad the tank was, I didn't want to spend the money on anything else to go on it, so I just chucked it, toolkit in the free slot. Yeah, once I realised, yeah, anyway. Okay, so I'm going to head towards a spot where I kind of like to go in big slow heavies, and we'll see how we go. But actually, first of all, I remember this spot here being hard. This tank is very tall, so I figure, look, my turret's reasonably strong, and I can park my tank sideways, so not exposing the side of my hull, and just use my turret to poke over here and shoot because the tank is tall, and I will have a little bit of gun depression because the gun's pointing out the side of the tank. However, I'm going to have to shoot through a wall. I've got HE, so I can't shoot through the wall. I decided to get rid of that piece of wall, but even though you can see where my gun was aimed there, I actually hit the wall. So I figure I can't, but there's no point doing that again. I see though a scout tank, RU-251, has moved up on me and was hoping to get my back, but he now realises that I've seen him, so he's being a little bit more cautious. Now we do have a long aim time, so I don't want to just fire like random, because then he'll just drive right up to me and I'll be in trouble. But this tank is taller than he realises, and we do 962 damage hitting the roof of his tank. So he's very sick now. Our AMX 5120 here smells blood in the water. He's prepared to take a hit from the heavies down on the corner there so that he can eliminate the scout tank, which he does do with his autoloader. He copped a couple of hits though from the heavies down there, so I decided to move up, completely exposing the side of my tank because it's the only way I can get enough gun depression to hit these guys, and let one loose at the VK. However, we do no damage to the VK, which is the first time with this particular gun, using the ONI or the AHO, I've ever done no damage to anyone. We did do some critical though, so I don't know what that critical was, but we aimed for his lower plate, which probably is very, very thick on that tank, and yeah, didn't do any damage at all. 75 pen, 910 damage. So let's now see. Now we've got a defender. I'm not really used to defenders, but anyway, even though we shot at the defender, it looks like we hit the VK again, and once again didn't do any damage to it. We blocked a shot from the defender. I think he hit the front of our armor. We'll have a look at that in a sec. Yeah, we'll just see what I do here first. Just creep down a bit at a time, just trying to hopefully spot them. Okay, there's the VK, and this time we hit, I think it was the front, the upper plate. We did 219 damage, which at least we did some damage. So that's where we got hit. Oh, it looks like, no, that's nothing. We've been hit on the upper plate there, which is bounced off. It looks like maybe one on the lower plate there. We just got some spotting damage for the VK, so let's go back into the tank again. And how are we going to go here? It's the defender again. Can we hit it this time? We actually missed that shot. So this is a bit longish range for this tank. And that's one of the reasons I don't like this tank, is to really engage a tank, because of your gun depression, you have to be at mid-ish range, which is long range for this tank. I see this scout coming. My turret decides to take the long way around. Look how slow the turret turn is. Using my track and turret here to try and get him turn around, but I can't do it. And I'm finished. This is the end, folks. So what I'm trying to do now is squish him and try and use my my tank to try and stop him turning around me so I can get my gun to point at him. But you can see here, my gun can't reach him. I cannot hit him. So there's nothing I can do. And this is the frustrating thing. And I mean, it's the same in Yoni. I fire here just in case, but you can see where it hits the ground right over there. I just can't get my gun to point at him. And, I mean, admittedly, obviously, our team allowed this scout to get round the back lines, which doesn't help you. But you need to be in a group of tanks, and I wasn't in a group, so, you know, I kind of made a mistake. But basically, the tank is defenseless at close range. Has to be at mid-range where it's not very accurate. It's just a dud. Yeah. So just in case the horrible gameplay wasn't enough for you, I have the stats from that game. Look, we actually did 1,200 damage, which is kind of okay. It's got 1,700 hit points, this tank, so we didn't even do our hit points in damage. Next screen, and we actually finished above the middle of, you know, just above the middle. I don't know how. I guess we landed a few shots, but you know. But we did end up winning the game, so well done to the IS-6 and Jake Tiger here. They must have played very well. And 7 shots fired for 2 hits, and yeah, 1,200 damage with those 2 hits. And look, really, it was because we hit that RU-251 on the roof and cupola at the start, which is like 950 damage for the 1 shot. Other than that, we did very little. So this gun, nowhere near as effective when you're a tier higher as it was before. And the tank is, in my opinion, just it's an anchor. We received 8 hits, 7 of them penetrate, so I only managed to bounce 1 shot, although most of the shots were into the side, so what do you want? Yeah. Thank you for watching my review of this useless rubbish. If you'd like to see more reviews, please subscribe to Reginaldesq. Have fun.